Society has programmed us to follow a certain path. Now look where we're at. Today, more and more people are losing their jobs, savings, and even their homes. If we want things to change, then it's up to us to take action. I just spent the last several months interviewing about 50 of the nation's most successful young self-made multimillionaires and entrepreneur experts. And I realized that you can be, do, and have anything you want regardless of your circumstances. So I want you to join me on my journey here at the Yes Movie. If you want to live the life of your dreams, you can do it.
You can do anything.
We had no choice. We had to win.
It's showtime. It's showtime. You gotta play it cool. You gotta go on the field. You gotta perform. It's showtime. It's showtime. The only dimension of us that's more powerful than our circumstances and our environment is our imagination. I used to imagine myself living in a beautiful home. I used to work on Miami Beach with my mother. She was a domestic worker. She cleaned the homes of these wealthy families, and we ate the food left over from the families that she'd cooked for. But I had this vision, this imaginary life that I had created for myself, that I had all the things that I desired. I saw myself, I believe in the old saying, act the way you want to be and soon you'll be the way you act. I was living in poverty, but it was not living in me. The imagination is that dimension of who we are that can transcend mental conditioning and our circumstances and gives us the possibility of reinventing ourselves and creating a life that we can be proud of.
Can everybody do that?
Yes, that's the greatest power that human beings have above the animals. An alligator can't be anything but an alligator. A tree can't be anything but a tree. But a human being, we have the option to be anything that we so desire.
Let's take the law of attraction, because you know the secret is out there and gazillions of people are, you know, frothing at the mouth over this movie. And the interesting thing is, I love The Secret in many ways, okay? I have a lot of friends in there. Joe Vitale's in there, James Ray, you know, one of my colleagues, Bob Proctor. So there's people I know and like and respect in that movie, and I'm glad they made it because it has brought the law of attraction to millions of people that wouldn't have known about it otherwise.
Andrew Carnegie was the wealthiest man in the world. Carnegie and he wrote it in a program, and then
beginning.
What we teach in law of attraction is that when you it's easy.
If I can see it inside, I can create it outside. That's what entrepreneurs are all about. They make something out of nothing and then sell it. They're artists.
Ideas are the proven capital of young rebel entrepreneurs. Breaking new ground is the best, fastest, and easiest way to create something the world has never seen before. After all, whoever thought you could make $1 million by transforming oversized beanbag chairs into a revolutionary new furniture company? And if you haven't seen his sacks yet, you probably will. We're here, Mr. Sean Nelson, the founder of Lovesack.
I get asked all the time how this thing started, and like so many silly entrepreneurial stories, it was an accident. You know, I was 18 years old. I got off the sofa. Like a way to make like a sphere.
What did you put in there?
Well, you know, originally I tried the beanbag beads because it was meant to, you know, originally it was just.
Revolutionary ideas.
Van, you know, Dodge van with Lovesack spray painted on the side, deliver them, people one by one, and it was just, you know, really raw.
Well, there's nothing raw about it today. In fact, Lovesack owns over 20 stores across the country and grosses more than $60 million a year. Not bad for a crazy idea by an 18-year-old who is jokingly known as the kid with the big sack.
An entrepreneur is someone who can see something and see beyond what it presents itself to be.
It was at the flagship store of this ultra-hip shoe company where I sat down with twin brothers and business partners, Shane and Sean Ward.
Basically, we went to undergrad together. I studied engineering, Shane studied design. We never thought we would get into the footwear industry at all. But after graduation, Shane got an offer to design shoes for Adidas. And it was an offer he couldn't refuse, to move out to Portland, have fun, designing shoes for some of the greatest athletes in the world. You know, I thought to myself, I'm doing all these great shoes, I'm very successful, but I want a little bit more ownership, and I want a little bit more flexibility with my schedule because I love to travel. So I decided to start a freelance design company so I could work from home and I could work for a multitude of brands. Next thing you know, I moved to New York to trade stocks from the stock market. Shane moved to New York to start his own freelance design company. When the market would close at 4 o'clock, I had nothing else to do. So I started helping Shane out with the freelance. We ended up designing shoes for Fila, Puma, Converse, Lugs, Royal Elastics, Merrell, a lot of great companies. And then after doing that for 2 years, you know, we had a great company, but we were designing great shoes and sending them off. There was no ownership after we designed these shoes. So we started to, you know, come up with a business plan. I started taking care of all the business and finance. Shane designed the shoes, and we started Detney back in 2003. I think with all entrepreneurs, you know, when you make that decision, when you jump in, you're in. You know, there's no looking back. So I was gonna make sure I did everything in my power to make it successful. And I always knew, as I had two safety nets. One is I could always go back and get a job in the shoe industry. And two, if that didn't work out, I could always go home and live with my mom and get my things together. So no, I was never nervous about it.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, I was intrigued that these companies were started based on simple ideas which they believed in. We're here on Venice Beach, California, on the boardwalk. Everything out here is tattoo, body piercing. Got all sorts of people out here. I decided to call one of those people who actually came up with their first $1 million idea walking along this same boardwalk.
My first company started was I played with these sticks all the time and I loved them. And I loved them so much that I made all sorts of different designs of them, of the ones that were really aerodynamically the best and also the prettiest. And so people just started asking me, oh, can you make me a set of those? And the KPBS Store of Knowledge, which had 350 locations at the time, came in and said, we love your sticks and we love them so much better than any sets that we've ever seen. And this was in August, and they said, we want to sell your pairs over Christmas holiday this year. But here's the catch. We need 50,000 of them by October. I had never even heard of factoring or sourcing overseas, or I said, I can't do that.
I don't care if you're 18, 25, 32, or 80. You know, Thoreau said most people live lives of quiet desperation. The reason they do is they haven't had the intestinal fortitude, the courage to find something they enjoy to do, and to allow themselves to be insignificant before they become significant. You see, most people confuse insignificance with failure, okay? You can read any biography, you can watch your entire amazing movie documentary and realize that every single person featured went through a period of insignificance before they hit it.
And that day I said, I will never own another company where I have to manufacture a product in-house again. And by that point I realized I was a business owner. And I said, well, what kind of company do I want to do? And through a series of events, I'd heard of this guy that was making $10,000 a month selling t-shirts. And I thought, oh God, that's like all the money in the world. Are you kidding me? So I said, I want to own a t-shirt company. And I started anti-establishment clothing when I was 23 years old.
About an hour away from Venice Beach, I caught up with Dan Coldwell, better known to the rest of the world as Punk Ass. As the co-founder of the wildly successful mixed martial arts clothing and lifestyle brand, Tap Out, Punk Ass continues to make his own rules when it comes to building an empire.
I'd always been kind of like this small entrepreneur, you know, starting little businesses here and there. I had a little shaved ice store inside of this club. Raves used to be big back in the day, and I opened this like shaved ice store in there, and I was making a little bit of money here and there, and you know, just little tiny small things. And I always wanted to do something big, You have to find your niche. Back in '93, right after the first UFC, me and my partner, Charles, went to Hoist Gracie's school. Right after we saw the first UFC, we went down to Hoist Gracie's school in Torrance and we started training. We signed up the same day. And I was just passionate about this whole mixed martial arts thing, this UFC, this ultimate fighting. He came to me one day in like '97 and said that, you know what, I want to start this clothing company. What do you think? You know, you want to do this?
He's the buddy here.
Yeah, a friend of mine. And we were good friends. We were hanging out all the time and training together. And I was like, cool. Let's do it.
Punk Ass may not fit into your idea of what a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur looks like, which just proves you don't have to wear a suit and tie or have an MBA from Harvard to make it big.
I think an entrepreneur is somebody who's just not mentally fit to work for somebody else. They march to the beat of a different drummer. Henry David Thoreau said, if a man doesn't march to the beat that you expect him to, let him march to the music that he hears, however measured or far apart. They are different and they are unique and they're uncommon. They're risk takers. I teach people, leap and grow your wings on the way down. They don't mind getting hurt. They don't mind getting hit because they know you're going to get hit anyhow. And you can get hit in the bleachers or on the field. So they say, let me go out on the field.
Because, it all comes back to like the Roman days when that's what ultimate fighting is kind of about, these fights that they have in the cage are all based around just two men just, handling business. When we're in here, even though it's just business and we're out there just trying to make sales and do our thing, it's still all based around, going to work every day with that war mentality, like you just have to win.
Think about all the excuses you make up as to why you can't make it. Dr. Farah Gray is the internationally renowned business mogul, speaker, philanthropist, and best-selling author. He made his first million at the age of 14, selling his grandmother's pancake syrup, and hasn't looked back.
I grew up in the projects on the south side of Chicago, and for me, I believe that comfort is the enemy of achievement. So growing up uncomfortable, and my mom had a heart attack, and I also am a strong believer that everybody needs a pivotal moment. And mine was when she had a heart attack and the doctor said that she may not live, and it was due to how we were living in the projects. So I said to myself one morning when I woke up, I'm not gonna come home until I made enough money to help my mom pay the bills. So I went out and saw rocks in the streets and I painted them, and I would knock on people's doors, and I never called them rocks. I would always ask people, would you like to buy this? And people look at me as if to say, ain't that the rock that was in front of my door? And I was like, yeah, but see, now it can be used as bookends, paperweights, and door stoppers. So I learned that as an entrepreneur, you don't have to necessarily invent something that the world depends on, but you can reimagine something and reposition it.
We all have challenges, we all have problems, things happen. The job of the entrepreneur is to be constantly solving problems. That's what they do. I mean, even in the launch of a business dream, you're launching it to solve some problem, hopefully, because that's where the need is for whatever it is that you have. And if there's no need, there's no market. So you're solving problems, and that's what an entrepreneur does.
The beauty of entrepreneurship and young entrepreneurs is that really entrepreneurship takes place in the lunchroom. I'll trade you my chocolate cookies for your chocolate milk. So we are already entrepreneurs, and a lot of people would say, do young people really think of entrepreneurship, or when should we start to think about it? I think that America should train entrepreneurs as soon as the young person has a thought or a want, something they want immediately, that's when they should be taught about money. And in this country, we don't talk about money. We don't teach our children about money. I still have friends that are my age and still can't tell you what their parents do.
What is money? What is it?
Money's an idea. It's an idea. It's a medium of exchange for other people's products or services. Do you know that there's hundreds of millions of dollars being transferred between Japan and New York in the middle of the night? Just vibrations, going from one computer to another. Nobody ever sees the money. That's money, though. It's an idea. That's all money is.
It is money which makes possible our complex international society of business, trade, and travel.
In the past, a lemonade stand was the first business venture for many kids.
Is this where they're selling lemonade?
But today, more and more entrepreneurs are making it big on the internet, and they're younger than ever.
What's up, man? You the lemonade guy? I heard about you. They said you make the best lemonade in town. Is it true? Oh, whoa! You got the garnishment too, man. There you go.
The power of the internet has made it possible for anyone to start a business and get rich. The majority of the top-earning websites in the world are run by brilliant men and women under the age of 30. At 20 years old, Sean Belnick's business chair website brought in $38 million. At 14 years old, Sean locked himself in his bedroom, and 3 days later, BizChair.com was born.
I would work with my dad, doing some, technical things with websites with him, and I would see the way he operated his business.